Welcome, dear students, to this new lecture session of Principles of Management MG 211. In this lecture session, I'm going to initiate the discussion on leadership. So, this chapter is in our textbook titled as Managing Leadership and Influence Process. So, as you may know by now, that in the principles of management, you have four distinct set of tasks: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So even though a manager's core activities consist of four different tasks, however, leadership in many ways stands out from the others. So in this chapter, as we move through the different topics regarding leadership, you will get to understand why. So much without further ado, let's move into the discussion. So naturally, the first question that comes to the mind is, what is leadership? So answer to that question is, to answer that question, you first need to understand who is a leader. So according to our textbook, leader has been defined as someone who can influence others and who has managerial authority. Even though that our textbook actually defines the leaders as somewhat like this, however, if we look into the pages of history, you will see that there were many persons, many individuals who were not managers but who were great leaders. Think about Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman or Mahatma Gandhi or so on. They were not leaders. Sorry, they were not managers, but they were great leaders. However, if you are going to run an organization, you will have to have these attributes that these great leaders had to their followers. So what is this? Before I answer that question, let's move into another important definition that you need to understand, that is called leadership. So leadership is suggesting what leaders do, the process of influencing a group of achieving goals. So looking into this definition, you will not get to understand what are the actual activities a leader undertakes. However, this definition is clearly elaborating what is the activity that a leader, what is the outcome of the activity that a leader conducts. The outcome is he or she gets to influence or motivate the people who are working under that person who is considered as a leader. So think about it in this way: this person who is a leader, he or she can easily influence his or her follower. He or she has that power to motivate his or her follower to do something. So they have that power to energize those people. They have the power to influence those people to take a certain course of action. And on the other spectrum, from the part of these followers, because of that charisma and influence that this person who is a leader can show, for that reason, these followers accept this person as a leader. So it works in both ways. The person who is a leader can influence the follower, and the followers accept this person as a leader. That's the outcome of whatever the courses of action a leader takes. So from this point of the discussion, you can certainly understand how valuable this charisma that leaders have is important for someone who wants to become a manager or a leader of an organization. Think about it. In your organization, there will be plenty of people working under you. And if they don't consider you as a leader, if they don't think that you are someone who is worth following, can you influence them to work for you? So again, this is something intangible. However, judging from this discussion, you can clearly understand that this is something very important. This person has to be a leader. He or she has to be considered as a leader. And he or she has that certain power or influence over his or her follower. That's what he or she has to establish or accomplish. Ideally, all managers should be leader, but unfortunately, many people don't have that skills and personality that can make them to be considered as a leader. Because of those reasons, they remain an ordinary manager and never get the opportunity to get that necessary promotion to become a bigger, to attain the bigger position of the organization. So there are plenty of good books regarding leadership. You should certainly go through them. So although their groups may have informal leaders who emerge, those are not the leaders we are going to study here. This is some word of that's something that we would like to inform you in this discussion. When you are actually going to go through an organization, you will see that among the workers, there might be someone who is a worker like those all those people. However, this person has that gifted capability to energize the other persons of the organization, and the other people who, even though they are holding the same position, they accept this person as a leader. However, in our in a formal manner, this person doesn't hold any position within the organization. So how this person can become a leader? Yes, maybe it's something worth studying, but this is not we are going to study in this particular chapter. However, this person holds certain traits and personality that might be very valuable for the managers as well. So what are those? So we are going to study them here. So this is the question leadership researchers have always been trying to answer. What is an effective leader? So what are the characteristics do they share? And is it something that is that a human being can attain by born, or something that can they acquire through the experiences that they go through life? So that's something that will be discussed here. So as we move into the topic, it's very important for you to understand what are the differences between leadership and management. So even though in our previous discussion you have seen leadership is a very critical component of a manager. However, as I was saying in the very beginning, in a manner, the characteristics one has to show and the sets of activity one has to go through as while being a leader stands out from the other three activities. How so? From this table, that has been shown below, you will get to understand that. So let's look into that. So as you can see, in the form, in terms of activity, leaders and managers work in different manner. So you will have to understand them to become a both manager and a leader. So what are those? So when it's time to create an agenda, when it's time to place an agenda on the table, then leaders work in this way. They are trying to establish a direction and vision for the organization. They are trying to build up a dream. They're like Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I had a dream that the black people will get the equal opportunity like the other people, citizens of United States of America." He was showing the dream to the people of his or his community, his kind. So like Martin Luther King Jr., a leader actually shows a direction and a vision. He or she gives a sense of purpose to the people who are considered to be his or her follower. Whereas when it comes to creating an agenda or place a topic on the table, management is thinking in different manner. Management is planning and budgeting. They are allocating resources. They are thinking this is okay. This might be the goal, which is a high possibility that has been set by a leader, and manager thinks, okay, how can I reach that goal? What will be the steps? How manager's job is to be strategic, plan, do the budgeting, that how much money will he or she require to accomplish that goal. So that we are moving on to the tactical territories when it becomes when it comes to the management who has set an agenda, developing the human network for achieving that agenda. So as you can see, accomplishing a big goal is not a piece of cake. That's not something that can be accomplished by one individual. So this one individual, if he or she is going to accomplish that huge goal, he or she needs follower, he or she needs to create the human network that will help him or her to accomplish that goal. So again, in this case, manager and the leader has different way of doing things. So how does it work? So let's look into the management first. Okay, so let's look into the leader first. So what leader does? Leader aligns people through communications and actions to provide direction. So what leader is doing here is working under the territory of motivating the people. He or she, when he or she is communicating, he or she is trying to motivate people and trying to muster support for his or her cause. So from top to bottom, at each and every level, he or she is communicating his or her vision, his or her ideas, and he or she is trying to communicate how his or her idea is going to change the world. He or she is trying to motivate and energize people. That is the core purpose he or she is trying to serve when he or she is trying to build up a human network. But what is manager doing when he or she is moving with the same issue? He or she, rather than motivating, are thinking more on a tactical territory. Once again, what he or she is trying to organize and staff people, structure and monitor the implementation process. So he or she is on working on the technical direction here. If the leader, again, once again, this diagram that I've drawn here is pretty much relevant in the second point as well. Again, if the leader is, once the leader has motivated or energized people, many people are on board. So when the people are on board, to integrate them in an official manner, that's the objective of the management or organizers, that okay, these people are that after being motivated by people, they are on board. Now how I'm going to integrate them in the work team so that they can start contributing towards the cause or goal that has been set by the leader. So that's their task. Third point, executing plans. Here, what does a leader do? Leader is motivating and inspiring and by satisfying needs. So leader is actually always perpetuating how his or her followers, by following his or her direction, is going to get that nirvana, or get into that, you know, get into that territory, that I mean, get to that promised land or heaven in some cases. If we look into that, those persons are always perpetuating their belief and saying how it's going to make their people's life even better. And sometimes they're also reinforcing the people with materialistic rewards. So that sort of activities are undertaken by leaders. And what does manager do? Managers are trying to work on that, again, technical territory. They're trying to control and solving problem. They have created the steps. Now they are seeing that okay, if there's something wrong here, if it is wrong, they try to troubleshoot that problem, they try to correct that problem, and try to make sure that people are back on track to accomplish those goals. Lastly, what is the outcome of leaders and managers? Outcome, in terms of outcome, leaders produces useful change and new approaches to challenges. So they are the persons who challenge the status quo. They want to change what is happening right now, and they want to improve the situation for good. They, if they see something wrong in the society, they want to lead the society, they want to challenge the society to change for the better. If they can successfully accomplish their goal, society changes for good. In a narrow perspective, an organization can change for good. And in the case of management, the outcome is that it produces predictability and order in attaining result. So if the manager can do their work properly, what happens is manager is creating a tentative step-by-step guideline that how he or she is going to accomplish his or her goal. So if a manager can properly conduct his or her work, then his or her work will go accordingly as the way he or she has planned. So again, think in terms of technical territory, and you will get to understand. So even though manager is much more working into the territory of implementation, working into accomplishing the visions and goals that are mostly set by the leader. However, even if you want to become a manager and want to accomplish these tasks, you need to have something that the leaders have, the personality and the characteristics to motivate the people to work on your cause. So, a discussion in this slide, I will finish by saying that a person can be a manager, either a manager or a leader. Also, he or she can be both, or in the worst case, he or she can be neither. So, I hope you from this discussion you will understand which one should you become to become a successful corporate executive when you join in an organization. That being said, thank you so much for patiently listening. I'll be continuing my discussion from the next part.